Hello, everyone. I am Fakisha Gunn, Associate Dean for Students at Memphis Theological Seminary, and welcome to our Doctor of Ministry information session. If you are joining us on Facebook, please invite people by tagging them in the comment section. I would also like to encourage you to share our video on your page. You never know who may find this video helpful to make a decision about their theological education. Although we have 10 tracks within our doctoral program, tonight we will focus on womanist preaching. Here with me is our Associate Dean of Doctoral Studies, Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore. Dr. Moore, can you tell us a little bit about your background and expertise?
Oh boy, where should I start? Let's see. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering from Tuskegee University.
Science degree in chemical engineering.
I also have an MBA and an MDiv and a DMIN. So when I left Tuskegee, I moved to Minnesota to work as a manufacturing engineer. My call to ministry accosted me. Basically, I was trying to run, and you can't outrun the call. So the call caught me and took me to Virginia Union, the school of Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology there. Received a Master of Divinity. Soon after that, I received my Doctor of Ministry degree. And I'm going to say the rest is history, but I can tell you other things. I am a wife. I'm a licensed ordained Baptist preacher. I am a mother of a rambunctious 8-year-old who will be 9 soon, who is 5'1". So you can just think about that. Yeah. Wow. I'm a caregiver to my mom, and I'm a friend, a sister friend, all the things. And yes, I'm a first lady because my husband is the pastor of Metropolitan Baptist Church here in Memphis, Tennessee. So I could give you more hats, but let's stop right there.
That's super. Now we're talking about womanist preaching tonight, and you are very, very familiar with womanist theology, womanist theory, and womanism. Can you share for those who are not familiar with that term, what is womanist?
Okay, so that's pretty broad. But I'll start by saying that womanist is a way of looking at biblical text, but also a way of looking at the lived experiences of people, not just Black people, not just Black women, but all people. And so it is an approach to how we interrogate biblical text. It's an approach to how we interrogate life experiences. And so in the same way that you might think of liberation theology as an approach to theological understanding, womanist theology is that, an approach to understanding theological texts and theological frameworks as well. Most first wave womanists and most womanists will start with Alice Walker's definition of womanism, which in essence means that womanists are not people who are not interested in men or other races, but womanism is inclusive of everyone, the entire community. And even if you think about it in terms of Dr. King's beloved community, we're interested in the wholeness and healing of the entire community. I can unpack it over 13 weeks, but that's like it in a nutshell.
That I think you gave a really, really great view on what womanism is, because I think when people look at womanists, they think of women and only women. And so I like the fact that you talked about that it's a lot broader than that. It's a lot deeper. It reaches around and it includes everybody in that view. So thank you so much for sharing about that. Let's talk about the degree of womanist preaching. If a student or a prospective student was looking into womanist preaching, what are some of the things that they should be looking into or looking at in regards to whether or not this degree is something that that they should pursue?
Okay, so I would think that a student who would be interested in womanist preaching is one who is intrigued by womanist theology. They're intrigued by this idea of womanism and this approach, this lens that womanists seem to use when they are viewing the world for the most part. So there is this interest in this way of viewing, this way of seeing reality. Okay. So that's one. I think if someone who can declare and say, I know that I'm a womanist, I know that I think in this way, and I want to deepen my understanding or use models of womanism in order to improve my community or do work in my church, then this degree is for them. And so when we think about a good fit, I would think that the person would have to have an interest in some way. Now, I'll say this. There are people who will start a program in a different cohort and realize, hey, I really want to focus over here, but I didn't know that in the beginning. And so I would say that for those who think they want to be in a different track, and then as they are discerning in class, as they're discerning within their first semester, and they're saying, wow, the work I want to do is really in womanist theology. It's really in understanding how to use the womanist framework in order to improve my community. Then they're the ones that we're looking for to be a part of this cohort. In essence, if you are interested in doing something outside of your traditional norm in terms of how you see biblical text, in terms of your preaching, in terms of activism, in terms of your own self-care, in terms of even eco-womanism and things of that sort, then this is the cohort for you. Now, someone might ask, can men be womanists? And I will say that men can be anything they want to be. I would say the goal or the point is, do you align with this idea that hierarchies are not necessary for the flourishing of a people? Do you align with the need to seek wholeness and healing for the entirety of society? Do you align with the fact that people can love who they love? Then that's an idea that we can gather around, but themselves and their communities.
When I initially feminism, I was not sure. There are maybe some people who view this video. I'm intrigued, but I don't know where to start to see if maybe this is my.
That I was trained under Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon and womanist theology. One of the things I want to be clear on is that womanists evolve. There are waves of it. We shift, we change, we evolve, and we are always in the process of becoming. So there are others like M. Sean Copeland, Dr. Shanika Walker-Barnes. I mentioned her specifically because she has done work on the burden of the strong Black woman. And many of us know the burden of a strong Black woman if we are a Black woman. But she has done significant work on how to free us of this armor that we wear called strong Black woman. And so Shaniqua Walker-Barnes, Candace Bimbo has a book called Lipstick Theology. I don't have it in front of me, but
Red Lip Theology.
Red Lipstick, I'm sorry. If Dr. Bimbo is watching, I do apologize. Yes, Red Lip Theology. So she's another. Some up and coming womanist. Chelsea Yarborough is a professor at a seminary in Oklahoma. Lord have mercy, my memory
Theological Seminary.
There it is. Melanie Jones Quarles is a professor at Union in Richmond, Virginia. Now, she is also the director of the Katie Geneva Cannon Womanist Leadership Institute that is also housed in Union. And so she is one of the, I want to say, in the third or fourth wave of womanism. So as more scholars come on and as more women begin to adopt the lens and begin to produce works that are grounded and rooted in womanist theology, then we have these next iterations of what it means to be womanist.
I would like to, if it's okay, to share our inaugural cohort of womanist preaching. Let me share my screen really quick because I think it's really important to not only acknowledge them, but also to give them kudos because they will be graduating here in May. So congratulations.
That's right. They are getting ready to walk across that stage in May. It was the inaugural cohort that began with Dr. Gina Stewart as their cohort mentor. And this was the first year we did this, the introduction to what it means in terms of womanist preaching for MTS. And they are doing a great work. We're in the process of completing oral exams. And they are just shining brightly. And so they are excited to graduate, I'm sure. But yes, they have done stellar work. Just to, I'm just gonna say this, we know how to do some scholarship. I'll just throw that out there. The Womanists know what we're doing. Okay, I'll just leave that there. I'll put a pin in it and let y'all think about that. But yes, they are doing some amazing work. They were doing amazing work before they came into the cohort. Let me just say that. They were the cohort did not make them or define them. They were already doing great work in the world. They were already leading, they were already pastors, they were already deans of schools, they were already leading nonprofit organizations. They were already doing this. And so entering into the cohort and the knowledge that they gained and the friendships and the bond that they gained and the network that they gained just helped to deepen the work they're doing, helped to make that work even more meaningful, gave them more resources and more ideas in terms of what they can do next and how they can take this project and really give it legs and let it fly and give it wings. And so I am exceptionally proud of this group. And yes, there will be some tears shed come graduation day from this cohort. The other thing I wanted to mention though, and this is the goal for all of the DMIN cohorts. I mean, the cohort model is to build a community. It's similar to this idea of a small group that's in a church. You have a big church, but the small group keeps you connected. A small group is more intimate, and you can really get to know people in a small group. And so the cohort model is meant to build community. It's meant that in that first or second term that you begin to bond in such a way that you lift one another up, that you support one another, that you celebrate, but you also mourn when there's loss in your cohort, when your cohort experiencing challenges and things of that sort. And that's what this group did. They really did get behind one another. Even when they're doing their oral exams, some of them are showing up just to make sure that their colleagues know we are present, we are here with you. And so that's the goal, is that I don't want any student that come through the doors of MTS within our DMIN program to feel like they are by themselves. Absolutely not. I want you to feel as though you are a part of a community, and that, yes, even though you may be in a different state, there are still sisters and brothers that are going to reach out to you and hold you accountable and hold you up in the process. And so I am just so glad that they got it. They got it. They knew what it meant to be in a cohort, and they really gravitated to one another, and they've made friends for life. It's so interesting because initially they, when you're in class on the first day, you're just kind of looking around and just kind of scope the room, see who's here, not saying too much. But by that second or third semester, they were taking selfies and doing all the things. And so it really does warm my heart to know that. And as you can see, I love this slide because you can see that they're from different places. Like, they had to be intentional about building community. They're not only different places, but different time zones. So they were very intentional about building community with one another. So I am very proud of them. Thank you for showing this. This warms my heart.
This particular track, when I go out to recruit, is probably one of the #1 tracks that I get asked about. People have heard about womanist preaching. People have heard about the work that is going on with the students that's in that particular track. And so we are very grateful that we are, I believe, the first in the nation to be able to offer DMIN and Womanist preaching and the work that's coming out of that. I loved how you highlighted the various states that are represented here. I want for you all to see the names that are listed, the locations, that's the reach where Womanist preaching is going into. And I also want you all to see these names and see the work that these women are doing. This work is good work, it's godly work, it's divine work. So to piggyback off of that, the Womanist preaching track, how has this particular degree helped to enhance education or enhance the work that they're already doing?
So for some of them, so I'll just thinking about some of their projects. So one of the cohort members, one of her project, the problem in her project was trying to ensure that the preaching that happens on Sunday sticks. Many of us who are preachers know that 20 minutes, you got to try to get a lot in the 20 minutes. And you're hoping that when the service is over and somebody asks the question, what did the preacher talk about today? You are hoping that somebody can say something. And sometimes before they get to the parking lot, they cannot tell you what the preacher has said on Sunday. And so this particular person was really trying to think through what is the best way to concretize? How do I make this sermon stick? And but not only make it stick in my mind, how do I make it stick to the point that it moves you to action? Right? That you're not just hearing it, but you're actually going to be a doer of the word. And so she did some work around talkbacks. She did some work around what they call talkbacks in terms of after the sermon, maybe a day or so after the sermon, there's a conversation about the sermon. What did you hear? What did it invite you to do? And so that has helped her in terms of thinking through implementing something, moving on, moving forward once she walks across that stage. So that's one of the projects. Another person was thinking about what does it mean to be a church mother? Some of us know about the motherboard of the church or women in the church who have been called mother, but what does it mean to embody those characteristics? But then what does this new age church mother, what is her role? How can she help? And so her work was around helping women to see that they have these characteristics. And so if you know that you have them, what if you have been placed in this space to help to nurture and guide other women as a church mother? And so that was another project that somebody was working on. So it really varies. I mean, DMIN projects are specific. They are rooted and grounded in a specific context. In another information session, I said that the goal is not to boil the ocean, because we cannot boil the ocean, but it's to find your part of the ocean and work. And so the DMIN project allows you to go deep and narrow within your specific context. The other thing is that the womanist lens suggests that you are very specific versus vague. I mean, the womanist lens suggests that you go narrow, that you dig into a particular issue and you continue to excavate that issue until you cannot excavate it anymore. And that takes time, but it's a part of the process. The other thing is that even as we're talking about womanism, for those of you who are looking for a new way to interrogate the text, because womanists ask the question, who's not in this text? Who's not speaking? Why are they not speaking? Who benefits from their silence? Right? And so if we're not asking these questions and we're not getting underneath the norm that we know, then we continue to preach the sermon the way that it's given to us versus considering who's not there and what does that mean. But not only does it look at it in terms of the biblical text, but who's not in the room if you're at work. If you're in a meeting and certain people are not there, what are we saying? What does that mean? Why are they not there? Is there something that is being said that they don't need to know? And why is that? So it really is a way that we interrogate life, which I think it has been helpful in my own ministry and in my own life, because even if I look at the news, if I'm watching the news and I'm trying to understand CNN, Fox, it doesn't really matter which TV channel it is, I ask that question. Who are they interviewing?
Mm.
Why are they interviewing these people versus these people?
Mhm.
How long is this interview? You know, I'm asking all of these questions. What is not being said in this interview?
Mm.
You know, and so I think it's just a way of, it is really a way of really just trying to understanding history, but also our reality from the bottom up. And
Mm.
oftentimes our stories and narratives are told from the top down,
Mm.
right? Because the person who has the pen tells the story. And if I
Mm.
don't have access to the pen, I
Oh,
can't tell
come
the
on.
story.
Ooh.
Even if I won, if I don't have access to the pen and you do, you can tell the story that says that you won.
Mm.
But if I can tell my story from the bottom up, it may be a very different story than the one that is told top down.
That's so good. That's so good. Thank you so very much for that.
You're
I
welcome.
I want to take a look at the Womanist track. So, what can people expect from the Womanist preaching track? This is the third cohort. What can people expect to stay the same, and what can people expect that may be different?
Well, this is good because I enjoy consistency, but I also like a little change because I like to shake things up a little bit. And I
Mhm.
like to make sure that we are relevant to what is happening in the times today. So there are two courses that I know for sure will remain the same, and that is Womanist Theology, an introduction to Womanist Theology, and Womanist Biblical Interpretation and Preaching. So those are going to stay the same as is. But I'm also toying with Womanist Worship. Um,
Mm.
these last two cohorts, their immersion experience has been at the Gathering, which is a
Mhm.
womanist church in Texas. So, what would it look like to have a class on womanist worship? It really kind of helps to break us out of this mold of how we think of worship today.
Mhm.
Maybe even shift the way we consider the order of service, shift the way
Mm.
we think about the songs or the liturgies that we will use,
Mhm.
shift everything. And so I'm thinking, toying around with this idea of womanist worship. This year, with this new cohort, we want to do the Katie Geneva Cannon Womanist Leadership Conference.
Mhm.
So instead of the Gathering, they will go to that conference to be fully baptized and immersed in what it means to be in terms of womanist leadership.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other thing I was considering is womanist wellness. So there is this, if you've ever read not Shanika Walker Barnes, but she touches on this need for Black women to carve out spaces, sacred spaces for ourselves.
Mhm.
But I am in the process of reading Trisha Hershey's Rest is Resistance. She is the founder of the NAP ministry. If any of you were
Mm.
paying attention to the NAP ministry was on Facebook during
Mhm.
the pandemic,
Mhm.
and it will give you suggestions on, okay sis, breathe, or have you rested today, or things of that sort. Well, Trisha Hershey wrote a book called Rest is Resistance, and in it she basically says that we are not made for the grind culture of a capitalistic society, and we have got to find ways to resist, and one way is that we take our rest back.
Mm.
And so, what does it look like to have a course on not just rest, but womanist wellness, period? There are people in our churches right now that are in need of radical self care,
Mm.
not just those who are within my Gen X, but what would it look like to free up um, a mother of the church to let her know that she has permission to rest? That she
Mm.
doesn't have to keep cooking, she doesn't have to keep cleaning, she doesn't have to keep caring for, but that it's okay for her to be cared for. What would it
That's
look like to free her up from the guilt of not doing?
that's good.
But also, what would it look like to do that for even our girls? To catch them early, to let them know early on that rest is divine. It is a right,
Mm.
not something you do as a reward for all this work that you're doing for other people, right?
Mm.
And so kind of toying around with that, because I think we post pandemic, we still haven't rested. We didn't really get the time off that we needed. Come on now, we all needed a post pandemic sabbatical. Everybody. The
Yes.
pandemic itself put us through enough stress that everybody really needed a sabbatical before going back to work, but that's not what happened. We went from pandemic back to work as if nothing happened, and our bodies are feeling it. So there's a book called The Body Keeps Score.
Mm.
And it deals with the fact that our bodies are continue to accumulate stress. And at some point, it's going to be too much. So what would it look like for us to do a class on what does it mean to embody womanist wellness? What does that look like in terms of embodiment? So these are some of the changes, not anything that is out of the ordinary for womanist work. And some of the coursework that the students had before this cohort will still be infused into these courses, but just making just some subtle shifts so that the students can get a more holistic experience as well. The other thing that I want to make clear, the title of the cohort is Womanist Preaching. And if you are a womanist, you know that womanist preaching happens in the pulpit, but also outside the pulpit, that we preach. Our lives is a sermon, right? And so I just want to make sure for those who are listening that when we say womanist preaching, it doesn't mean that your project has to be a sermon. No, you preach every time everything you do teaches us something. Everything we do is a sermon. And so whatever that is, if your project has to do with focus groups and interviews and things of that sort, that is just as acceptable as your project being one of preaching. And so I don't want the title to be misleading, but I really want people to begin to think in terms of preaching beyond the pulpit, because some of us are called to ministry outside of the 20 minutes. They're called to ministry in other spaces. Go ahead. I see you thinking.
Well, first, this was my initial statement that rose up in my spirit. I will be with y'all at the Katie Geneva Cannon conference. I was kind of hurt that they only do it every other year.
Yeah,
I want to go every year.
Yes.
But my mind was blown the first year I went. Just the information that's out there, the work that's being done in that particular demographic. I was just excited to see what was out there. It stretched me, gave me things to consider that I had not considered. That's the first thing. Oh, Jasmine Taylor, such an awesome program. Absolutely. If you all have any questions, just make sure you put it in the chat so that we can answer it later. The other thing that I love that you just did was you just talked about the title of the track that's called Womanist Preaching, but preaching is not just for the pulpit. I want you to also kind of talk about whether or not this is only for clergy.
Oh, no, absolutely not. To be quite honest with you, a lot of the womanists I know are not clergy at all. They're not clergy. They're doing work in the community. They are community activists. They are nonprofit executives. Some of them they have regular, like day jobs, right? So no, this is not for clergy only. No, absolutely not. Why? We would not want to do a thing like that. Why? Because we need people who are in the trenches, and it's not just clergy in the trenches. There's some ordinary folk that are in the trenches with us. And so, no, this is not just for clergy. Would it be helpful for clergy? Absolutely. But it also be helpful for the layperson that is doing work with Christian education. What would it look like to develop a womanist curriculum for the children's ministry? What would it look like to develop a womanist curriculum for Vacation Bible School? What would it look like? Right? So it could be, it's for anyone that is interested in, like you said, being stretched, but also interested in ways in which not just centering Black women's experiences, but at the very least, being able to see that the Black woman's experience is a testimony. It is evidence in and of itself. It doesn't need a citation. It is evidence. It doesn't need support from anybody, right? And so being able to lift those up, what would it look like if your curriculum started out with a story from one of the ushers in the church? What would that look like? That it's her story. It is situated within a curriculum for Bible study, Sunday school, Vacation Bible School, or a church-wide study. And so being able to see that, no, it is certainly not only for clergy, but it's for lay people. It's for folks that may not be entrenched in the church. I said it. That's right. It is. It's for folks that might go to church, maybe Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter. It's for everybody that is interested in the wholeness and healing of society. If you care about society, if you care about healing, if you care about telling the story from the bottom up, if you care about who's invisible, if you care about who's pushed to the margins, if you care about who's burdened because of a certain decision that is being made or will be made, then this is the track for you. It will help you excavate, and it'll also help you not just excavate the problem in your context, but what I have found as it relates to DMIN projects is that if you are discerning, it will put you in touch with the project you always had in you. It just takes time for it to emerge. So what I've learned, and it continues to be confirmed every time I do an oral exam, is that students begin to talk about things that happened in their childhood, elementary school, high school, any of those times, and it comes full circle. The project is always something that has always been in them. It is not a new something. It's just that it just had to click. It was in them. It just had to be activated. And they did the project that was always in them. Dr. Kennan would say they're doing the work that their soul must have. And so I say to anyone that's looking on here that is considering a DMIN, that I want you to do the work your soul must have. I'm not interested in calling you doctor just for the sake of it. I want you to do the work that makes your soul happy, that you cannot rest. And I mean rest in terms of stop striving until that yearning, that desire is satisfied. That's the work I'm talking about.
I love that phrase. Do the
work your soul must have.
Do the work your soul must have. For those who are kind of on the fence in regards to a doctoral program, they may be considering a womanist preaching, but they're not sure because they don't have a project in mind yet. What would you share with them to encourage them on what to do next?
That's a good question. Oftentimes when we are asking you to fill out the application, we're asking you about a project because we want to have an idea. And that makes sense. That's fine. But I don't want it to be the box that holds you in. We all have ideas of projects that we might do. And then when we start a program, the Lord begins to deal with us. We begin to discern. We're starting to read. We could very well be having a come to Jesus meeting with ourselves that helps us to get to the core of why we're really here. And so then we figure out what that project is. So often, while DMIN students come in with an idea, I'm telling you 90% of the time that is not the project. It's simply an idea. 90% of the time, what you come in and what you think you're going to do is not what you do. I didn't say that they're far apart. I'm just saying that they come in with an idea and then the Lord begins to work and things begin to shift. But not only does the Lord work, because I want to say it like this, because the Lord can work and you can still be shut off. The Lord works, but the student remains open. They're not so married to the project that they can't let it go and allow the Lord to move them in a deeper direction. And so I say, come on with whatever project idea you have, and then watch God work. Watch God work, watch God shift and change it so that it is the project you are called to do.
That's awesome. Do you have any final thoughts that you think would be important for people to know that may be viewing this session?
I love the adult student. I love what the adult student brings to theological education. I love that they are seasoned in some ways and that they have a relationship with the Lord and that they've been through some things. And I love the adult student that is thirsty and open and really just came because the yes was on them and they're trying to find their way. And so I enjoy this DMIN program because it really does help students dig into their context and think about the ways that they can transform the community. So often when we think about transformation, it is so big that we don't think we can make a difference. The problem is so large that our little square may not make the mountain move. But I have seen firsthand that when students engage their context and they really understand the problem within their context, their project really does help to shift mindsets and make changes. And that project begins to take on a life of its own, where the person that is getting the degree didn't even know that they were going to take it to the next level. But because they've started something that they are so passionate about, they don't want to let it go. And so I've seen DMIN students, their projects turn into resources, books that you could purchase from Amazon. Their projects turn into nonprofit organizations. Their project turns into articles. Their project turns into collaboration with conventions and other associations and things of that sort. So sometimes it even turns into social enterprise, where it's something that allows them to make money. And so I'm saying that the DMIN itself is a powerful degree. The community is a powerful community. And what would it look like if you were in this program for such a time as this, and the people that you're sitting around have the ability to transform communities? I'm excited about all those who are getting ready to graduate. Why? Because they are getting ready to go back to their communities and change lives in their little pockets of the world. They're just going back to just change lives, plant seeds. And when they plant seeds, guess what happens? People that they're planting seeds in begin to do what? Plant seeds. And we just a bunch of seed planters, waiting for the Lord to add the rain and add the sun so that we might grow. That's all I want to do, is plant seeds. That's it. And I'm excited. I'm excited about that because the students are doing great work.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore, our Associate Dean of Doctoral Studies. Right now, we're going to get into the admissions process. For those of you that are considering applying to the Doctor of Ministry program, I just want to take you to our website where you can go to memphisseminary.edu. You'll go to Become a Student. You can go to Degrees and Programs. You'll scroll down all the way to Doctor of Ministry. You're going to click on the Doctor of Ministry button, and here you're going to see a list of all of our tracks. Womanist Preaching, all you have to do is click on the picture, and what will pull up will be our Womanist Preaching student program guide. It'll give you some details that are important to the program. It talks about the fact that our DMIN programs are 32 credit hours. That is 5 credit hours for 5 semesters. And in the 6th semester, your final semester, you will have 6 credit hours. The next cohort residency is going to be July 8th through the 12th this year. Our semesters start June 1st for the fall and December 1st for the spring. What you'll also need to note is that the application deadline has been extended from April 30th to May 27th. So keep that in mind. You do have some time. Also, Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore has been so kind to waive the application fee for you all for the fall 2024 admits. So here are the admissions requirements. Let me make that bigger so that you all can see it better. The admissions requirement is that you have a master's degree, whether it is in theology, divinity, or if it is in a degree, MBA. If you have an MBA, that degree also is acceptable. You just have to take into consideration that if you have a degree that does not have theological courses, that you will be required to take some leveling courses in order to help to undergird your journey in the DMIN program. You will need some theology courses. You also need to complete our DMIN application. You'll need all official transcripts from undergrad and graduate school. You'll need 3 recommendation letters. Those recommendation letters do not have to be from only lay or only clergy. They just need to be from people who can speak to the work that you are currently doing. Also, your reflection paper, Dr. Christy talks about that earlier, that your reflection paper needs to have a statement of your theology of ministry, as well as kind of give us an eye for what you are thinking about doing within the particular track. So you'll have 5 to 8 pages. I usually tell people to put on a good movie and put the different parts at the top of one page and just write one page, write brief biography, and then start talking about yourself. The next one, a statement of your theology of ministry, and start talking about that. The next one, assessment of your practice of ministry, that should take about 1.5, 2 pages. So right there, you have at least a minimum of 5 pages. And then of course, again, Dr. Christy has been so kind to waive the application fee. Remember, our application is online, and I will be able to take you to the spot where you'll be able to go to our student portal. Again, this is our residency. You'll have 6 residencies. The first 5 are going to be 5 credit hours, and the last one, which is going to be your project design and implementation, will be 7 credit hours. Now, the way that our particular DMIN program works is that we begin on June 1st, and then you'll have a 1-week in-person residency in July. For 2024, the residency will be July 8th through the 12th. Again, you'll be able to get your syllabus on June 1st, and then your professor will give you assignments that are due on certain dates, and then you'll also have readings that will be required for the time that you'll be in person. But majority of your time, you'll be able to do these, you'll be able to do your work where you are. You only need to be in Memphis for 1 week per semester. We have a very economical degree. And so here we have students who do federal student loans, and they also pay out of pocket. I believe over half of our students do self-pay. We do have a payment plan. So definitely, if you have questions regarding that, you can definitely call the school. I'm going to go back to the Doctor of Ministry page. We have a "Would you like to talk to a recruiter?" where you can schedule an in-person or a Zoom meeting. So just go ahead and click on that button, and that way we'll be able to go into greater detail and also talk to you about your specific situation. Also, if you go further down, you'll be able to see other information sessions of our other Doctor of Ministry programs. You'll also be able to see our photos of our students who are current, and also former students who have participated in our Doctor of Ministry program. If you're looking at trying to figure out about your schedule, we have our DMIN cohort dates at the bottom of the DMIN doctoral page, where you're able to see our 24, 25, and 26 years of when we will start our the day of our first semester, as well as our residencies. And then also, if you're thinking about, I'm not sure how much it's going to cost, we do have a DMIN table that you can click on that button, and it will take you to the table so that you can see what tuition costs will look like. And I always encourage students to go to the external scholarship page. On the external scholarship page, you'll see Doctor of Ministry scholarships that are listed on that page. You'll just need to peruse through each of the categories and see which one pertains to you, and start the process to apply. I always tell students to have one really, really good competitive essay, and then just tweak it per scholarship. Let's see. When you are looking to apply, you can still stay on the Doctor of Ministry page. Let's see. Actually, you will go to Become a Student, Admissions Requirements, and you can either press Apply here, or you can press Apply here. And it will take you to our student portal, or our new student portal, where you will create your account, you'll put in your information, and you'll begin to complete your application. Once you've completed your application, there's a section where you're able to put in the names and the emails of your recommenders, as well as you're able to search for your school, so that you can see if your school is in our search engine. Then we'll be able to get the transcript directly from the school. Otherwise, if it's not in that search engine, you'll have to go directly to the school. If you reach out to our admissions department, we would be more than happy to be able to help you find those contacts to be able to receive your transcripts. And so, everyone, I want to thank you for sharing with us tonight. Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore, who I always love to sit and talk with her, because she is a well of wisdom and knowledge and insight. And so I loved what she said. I wrote it down. Do the work that your soul must have. And so I encourage you all to do the same, to really reflect, look at our website, replay our video, go and listen to other videos, and see where your soul is calling you to. See where God is calling you to now take that next step, where the direction that God is asking you to take that next step into. And so, Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore, do you have any final thoughts?
Just do the work your soul must have.
That should be what we say during the week. I hope you all have a great night, and I hope you share that phrase with somebody, whether it's looking in the mirror and telling yourself that, or looking into another person's eyes and telling them, go ahead, do the work that your soul must have. All right, everybody, don't forget, next week we're going to have our final information session, which Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore is going to introduce our new track, which is our general track. And so I'm really excited to hear all the new things that are coming along in that particular track. And if you have any questions in the meantime, go ahead and give us a call in admissions at 901-334-5891, or you can email us at admissions@memphisseminary.edu. Take care, everybody.